So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where the continent of North America has a civil war. So continuing on with the continent civil war series, we have now crossed the Atlantic and are in the New World. Today North America will be going through its civil war. In the previous videos we've done Europe, Asia, and Africa. And yeah, this will probably be a pretty quick one for obvious reasons. But if you do enjoy it, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. It really helps us out, it really helps us grow, and it really shows me what videos I should do more of. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this. Now, what I define as a civil war in this series is basically every country in the continent is at war with an opposing team. So there's two teams, a red team and a blue team, and each member of that team has to support their team while also fighting against the opposing team. Now, of course, this wouldn't happen in real life because it's just not likely. Now, this war is going to be starting between Mexico and the United States of America. Now, this is really going to help Mexico out a lot, especially since America is considered the aggressor. So let's go ahead and fill in the rest of the teams. Obviously, on America's side, we're going to be having Canada and as well as Greenland. Now, I know Greenland is politically European, however, their geography says that they are in North America, therefore they have to be included. And I guess their government or Denmark would most likely side with America. But moving on down to the Caribbean and Central America, this is where things get a little bit interesting. Now, one thing that all of these countries have in common, except for Haiti, is that they all mainly speak Spanish. And what language does Mexico speak? Well, they speak Spanish. Also, Belize is kind of half and half. So this will really help them out when we're adding members to their team. Of course, we're going to have Cuba on their team as well because we know the relation between the United States and Cuba. We're going to put the Dominican Republic on their team. Puerto Rico is a part of the United States. The Bahamas, I mean, I don't even know if they have a military, so we're going to put them on America's team. And then we have the American allies in Central America, so this includes Costa Rica and Panama. Haiti is going to go on the red team simply because the Dominican Republic is on the blue team. Jamaica, I mean, they'd probably make the right call, join the red team. And now the few remaining countries I would consider mixed countries. So Belize, geographically, they're in a bad situation when they'd want to join the red team. Now the few remaining countries are countries that I would probably put on America's side, but due to their position and geography, I don't know if they'd want to do that. Jamaica is an island, and America's Navy is about to roll through this area, so we can probably safely put them on the red team with the United States. But El Salvador definitely wouldn't want to be on the blue team because of Honduras. However, their geographical position would put them in an occupied state. But they don't care, and they join the red team. As for Belize, they make the smart call and join the blue team. Now, these islands over here are technically North American. However, sea levels have risen, and they have now sank into the ocean. But here we go. Here is our Civil War map. So let's start the war. The first notable thing to happen is actually in Haiti. The Dominican military crosses the border and swiftly takes over the entire country. And then down in Central America, we see blue team troops cross over to El Salvador, as well as Costa Rica, who doesn't even have a military. Now we're going to assume that the Americans here, because, you know, they have bases literally everywhere. So there is some defense, however, the blue team still has the advantage. So here we have the navies of the two sides shown. Now the United States and Mexico are going to be carrying the naval category for each team. And then, you know, we all know how strong the US Navy is. So this Mexican Navy probably won't last too long. But America now mobilizes its military to completely surround Cuba, as well as making contact with Jamaica. With this, they then move over to cover all of Hispaniola, and of course support Puerto Rico. So now with this under naval blockade and control, it's not going to be too pretty for these guys. The Mexican Navy attempts to reach over towards Cuba, however they are stopped by the American Navy, and we have a lot of fighting ensuing over here. In the Gulf of Mexico, we have the American Navy pushing back the Mexican Navy down south, and over here near Baja California, the American Navy slithers down the Baja coast. On land, we have American troops finally crossing over from California and cutting off Baja California from the rest of Mexico. On the East Coast, we have an entire offensive coming out from Texas, and they are not forgetting the Alamo. In Cuba, America makes a landing and it cuts the country into two. From here, they push over towards Havana and eventually capture the city. This little island here, American, and America continues its invasion of Cuba. Back down in Central America, we have El Salvador being pushed in even more, and further down south, you have Costa Rica capitulating. We then see blue team troops enter into Panama, however they are eventually stopped. Back over in Cuba, we eventually see their entire island surrendering, and now we have America making plans to invade Hispaniola. The American Navy makes a push towards Yucatan, and eventually they have control over the northern coast. From here, the United States safely reorganizes its troops from southern Cuba, and later uses them to connect a bridge between the area over here near Yucatan and the area over here in eastern Mexico. Back on the coast, the American Navy continues to push back the Mexican Navy until eventually they're kind of stuck up here in northern Baja California. I'm not really sure how encircled Navy battles work, but they get wiped out. From here, America uses this naval superiority to take over the entire Baja Peninsula. The United States now focuses on capturing the western Mexican coast, while also pushing out from Arizona and New Mexico. Over near Belize, we have the Americans kicking out the remaining blue team team Navy. And from here, America makes a landing in northern Belize, who quickly changes sides and joins the red team. Now, of course, switching sides when your teammates are stationed in your country probably isn't the best of ideas, so Belize is partly occupied. However, the Americans now have a safe area to rest in, and from here they are able to push out into the rest of Belize. America now pushes south towards El Salvador. Seeing this, Honduras instantly pulls all of its troops off the front lines in El Salvador, which is probably not the best of moves, but they use these troops in order to counter the American troops and start to do some guerrilla warfare. Now, we all know America's weakness, and this actually goes pretty well for them. That is until the napalm is reintroduced. The United States crosses over into Honduras. Eventually, after El Salvador has a successful campaign at kicking out Guatemala, we have contact between the two countries. Back over in Hispaniola, we see the Americans finally landing on Haiti, and from here they recapture the entire country, cross over into the Dominican Republic, and they soon surrender. With this, the American Navy kind of dispatches this area under from their patrol. I mean, of course, they're still going to have boats over here making sure no rebellions pop up, but overall, they can move a majority of their Navy assets over here towards Mexico. And that is just what they do as they take over this entire area and beat back the Mexican Navy over here. So with Central America probably split off from Mexico, they really lose a lot of their support, and the United States essentially just kind of has a field day over here. In Panama, we see the blue team armies continue to push over until eventually they meet the canal, and it is there that they're stopped. The US Navy now pushes around the Central American coast, down over Nicaragua, over to Costa Rica, and of course down to Panama. Now it's a little bit weird here because of the canal, and that's international waters, so they have to be a little bit careful. But overall, the Americans are able to send troops down here and are able to help out the Panamans. Up north, we have the United States continuing to push down into northern Mexico and down the eastern coast towards Mexico City. We have the same thing happening on the western coast, but this does put them at great risk of being cut off from the rest of their armies up north. So in order to counter that risk, they just kind of take this land. Yeah, Mexico is having a hard time defending, and I'm pretty sure I recently did a Mexico versus America video, so I'm sorry that this is kind of a repeat. It's not really, because this is a part of a different series, but the teams on here are the same, so whoops. Over in Yucatan, we have Mexican troops crossing over into northern Belize and taking over half of the country. That is until some angry Americans say stop that and invade Guatemala. And from here, we can see that America is attempting to cut off Mexico from the Yucatan area. El Salvador carries out an invasion of Guatemala until the country eventually capitulates. And from here, the front line is what? It's made thicker. There we go. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's really not good. Oh no. So yeah, America did this thing, cut off Mexico from Mexico, and Mexico surrendered to America. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But now we have a spearhead going down to Mexico City, which is a very populated city, but that city is eventually captured after a lot of warfare. And from here, we have Mexico surrendering, and Nicaragua is yeah, that was probably the smart move. So with Nicaragua's surrender, we have these troops over here in Costa Rica and Panama just kind of chilling. Now, of course, the Americans are going to invade into these countries, but they're just kind of waiting for these guys to surrender. We have the Panama Army group surrendering, and we actually don't see a surrender from this army group. So they're just kind of, you know, killed. So just like that, North America is now the United States of Canada and North America. Let's go ahead and take a look at this peace treaty. All right, let's break this peace treaty down. So starting off with the US, who benefits the most from this war, they get all of northern Mexico and Baja California. We also have them setting up a puppet state over here in the Yucatan Peninsula, and Mexico itself is made into a puppet state. Now it gets a little bit interesting when we come down here to Central America, where we can see a lot of interesting changes. First notably, Guatemala lost land to Mexico, which doesn't make much sense since they were on the same team. However, this was done by America in order to limit Guatemala's exports with China. And we see this going on throughout the entire Central American region, with Honduras being cut off from the Pacific, Nicaragua cut off from the Pacific, and now we're only left with American allies which border the Pacific Ocean. These guys would be more considered American enemies, so now they're really going to have to focus on trading with the United States. Pretty smart move. It might be a little corrupt though. So yeah, El Salvador gets a lot of land from this. We have Costa Rica getting a lot of land from this, and unfortunately Panama doesn't get anything. Cuba becomes a state. We have Haiti getting land out of the Dominican Republic, and a lot of financial aid from war reparations from everyone. And Canada just, well, I guess they get money. That's about it. So yeah, that is actually going to do it for today's continent civil war video. North America is one of the smaller continents. Well, it's not small in size. It's the third largest continent, but in terms of countries within it, it's one of the smallest. So yeah, also the United States is in it, so it's gonna go by pretty quickly. But if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you're new, leave a comment with your input, share the video. Is there anything else you can do? If there is anything else, you should probably do it, because we want to get to 100k, and 100k is a pretty cool number. You might be seeing this on Wednesday, which makes sense. But if you're not seeing this on Wednesday, then it's because I'm doing a special upload thing where I'm just kind of posting videos whenever I can, just because I can. It's not a daily upload week because I know I'm gonna miss some days, but I'm just trying to get a lot of videos out right now because I just feel like it. I don't know, usually I'm not in the mood for doing this kind of stuff, but recently I have been, so why not take advantage of it and post a lot. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.